Wednesday night, we're all in sight. 9 o'clock, it's shining bright. Turn the dial and feel the might. Just enough Heshy take flight. Woo! Laughs and wisdom side by side. Heshy show won't be denied. Tune in live and ride the tide. Feel the rush and feel the pride. It's just enough Heshy. Wanna vote for Heshy? It's just enough Heshy. Join the crowd, it's messy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Just Enough Heshy show. My Facebook and Instagram and my YouTube fans. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're back live, Heshy, for the first time in weeks.
I know, and my microphone is working loud, but I hear an echo. Why is that?
Because we're live. You're not used to hearing yourself live. That's
I know.
why.
You know, I like talking to myself, so I usually hear myself a lot. You know, yesterday I went to talk to a group of people, and they all think I'm a little nutty for my videos. And I went to pitch
That's not
them.
true. They're lying.
I know that. I went to pitch them. They were like really serious players of my community. That I went to pitch for money, and also they needed some of my help. And I also I'm asking them for help to help me get signatures from Mayor Adams. I'm going to tell you about that.
We'll talk about that. Yep.
And what happened was today I get a call from one of the people. And the lady calls me and says, Heshy, I want to call you about something. I picked up the call. She says, you know, I was standing in the street talking about you, how nice our meeting was. We had 30 people there. We spoke about you. And she says, somebody came and told me a good story, how you went. There was a fire in the city and you helped save them and put them back in. Why don't you tell us about that? Why don't you talk about that? I said, I did already, and it's old news. I have so many new things to take care of for you, so many new problems. Everybody wants to go back and look at back. We have so many future issues in this city, so many things that we must handle from our children, from our welfare, from our schools, from the mayoral elections, to so many things that are coming up. That's what we should be worried about. Not going backwards of what I've
Can't
done.
change
I know
the
what
past.
I've done.
Can't change the past.
And what I've done good, you should have known about it, but you want me to keep bringing it up? Yeah. I saved the building. I saved them with fire. I did good. And I'm happy that somebody knew about it to spread that word.
I agree. No, listen, I mean, you know what? We'll certainly be talking a lot about that for this show in the next several months. So,
And I want to tell you that I know you guys are going to have a good laugh, and I know you guys think that I make fun of
Joke of the week isn't yet, though.
It's not a joke of the week. I know that, but I had to go to the campaign finance to make a video.
Oh, God. Okay, now you're really getting us
you know,
going.
and they have this whole speech, and they said, "Are you a pro?" I said, "I've done this so many times," and it was like easy for me. And the guy says, "Wow, you did it great on the first 2 takes." I said, "Yeah, because they make you do it twice."
I remember we talked about this a couple of years ago.
Right. So I went again. They made me do it. They had the script up there, and I did it 1, 2, 3. I did a beautiful thing 1, 2, 3. And as I was going in, Mr. Governor, I don't know, I don't want to say anything bad. Governor Cuomo walked in.
Oh.
And he went to the bathroom.
Now that I would love to have been a fly on the wall.
I was telling you I was going to have one of my nervous breakdowns and start screaming. I swear to God I was going to start screaming at him and cursing him out on video. And then I said, Heshy, maybe think better. You know what I mean? Because the people in my community are telling me stay quiet. And I'm going to start staying quiet. I'm not going to do more videos, any more funny videos. I'm going to be more serious. And what happened was I went over to him. I said, hello, Governor. You know, my community has some issues with you, but I like you, and I know some people raise money for you. Here's my card. Would you come on my show?
What did he say? What did he say?
He says, oh, okay, let me look into it. I said, can I give you a hug? And then he gave me his hand, and I said, can I give you a hug, Governor? And he said, sure. And I hugged him. I swear I was going to kiss him. But just that, you know, and when he finds out who Heshy Tishley is, when he remembers, he's going to have a nervous breakdown.
And if you want to give us a call, it's 646 646-974-1581. And I want to say hello to especially Sophia and Stella here on the chat. So
hello, Sophia and Stella. And Stella, right?
Yeah, Sophia and Stella
But,
from our friend Superfly 10579.
We are live on the radio.
We are live, baby.
And we had a interesting week, and what stuff is coming up. And I want to tell you, and you, Tom, me and Tom had a whole big...
and before you do that, I do want to say hello to our listeners tuning in now from 1027 WNEW, of course, the legendary WNEW. Also, 620 AM, our flagship station, and WSNR, and WJPR 1640 AM in beautiful Miami, Florida, where Heshy wasn't too far from this past week.
I'm going to tell you about. I'm going to tell you about my trip to Florida. You're going to have a good laugh on that one. But welcome to our show, everybody, and we're going to talk about, of course, our local politics. My son keeps telling me, "Stop talking about Trump and other stuff."
He did tell us, the producer, we should.
I
change
said, "No, we're going to stick to our regular idea that we're going to. Everything is up for grabs, and if you want to call into the show, which nobody does lately, or my son doesn't know how to pick up the phone, 646-974-1580.
Yep, that's right. 674-694-1581.
I didn't understand what you just said.
646-974-1581.
Okay, he goes 80. I go 80. He goes 81. But that's good.
I was told 81 by the producer, by the way.
Good.
He can shut our mics off, so I'm going with him on
I want to give a shout out to my good friend Sergeant Peter.
How you doing?
Are you? A shout out to Ellie. You know where you are, Ellie. My beautiful Mira Nava.
That's my favorite thing you said the last year. Go with Mira Nava. I always
Mira Nava.
Emphasize that Nava part.
They disappeared for a Passover. They went away to Brazil with.
Oh my God!
I missed them, and I did videos with them. And Layla Tamar and my beautiful grandson. I don't even know his name anymore.
You're live this time. He can't edit that out.
Benjamin Hill, and then of course Yeshua and my little granddaughter Ahuva, and I'm going to get a new one in a couple of weeks. I want to say one thing before we start the show today.
Okay.
Every Wednesday I buy lunch for my staff.
That's nice of you.
And we sit down in the conference room, and everybody gets to order whatever they want. And I want to eat at certain places, but they all complain that my food that I choose is no good. So they all pick a different restaurant. We put it into a hat, and we pick out from the hat.
Okay.
And this week we picked out a place called Crunchies. You should tell them.
Yeah, Crunchies is a new hot spot. It's on Coney Island Avenue, 1468 Coney Island Avenue, between Avenue K and Avenue L. And it's also available via great places like DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats. And they're the premier kosher chicken spot in Midwood. And if you'd like to order them and maybe order some food, give them a call at 718-513-6828. That's 718-513-6828. They're, again, available via Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and it's Crunchies, the kosher chicken spot.
Our YouTube and Facebook fans can see it on the screen. I like them today when I went to pick up the food, because sometimes these deliveries do take a long time.
Yeah.
Like Avram ordered dinner tonight to the show.
I did see the producer do that.
It took him an hour to deliver it. So I don't want to keep my people waiting.
You might as well have cooked the pineapple chicken and brought it over instead.
Right. I'm very happy you remembered that pineapple
Actually,
chicken.
one of my friends who was listening to the show, shout out to my buddy Jamie Sanders, actually wanted to say on the air that you need to give him that pineapple chicken.
Well, I put it on my
I
put it on my Instagram video, but I'm going to do it again.
Yeah,
I'm going to post it. I'm going to even show you how I make it, and it's all done in one pot. It came out beautiful over the holiday.
Nice,
and it's very nice, and it's no frying. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm going to tell you my joke. First of all, Crunchies. When I went to pick up my stuff,
let's talk about it.
The guy was so thin. I wanted to take out a soda from the bag. He says, "No, Heshy, go get a soda for yourself for free." I said, "Why?" He says, "You're the delivery guy. So nobody's going to tip you." I said, "I love that guy." Anyways, I want to give you my quote for the day.
All right, let's go for
guys. No one is useless in this world who lightens the burden of another. Okay? Sometimes I get a little depressed, and after the last election, and even though we were on the ballot on this one automatically, I said, you know what, just let it go by itself. And then you and I came up with a plan that we knew maybe round one would be a problem. We didn't think we'd win the
special
endorsement. Then we didn't think we'd get the endorsement because the Republicans went against us. And officially now, it's unofficial till Monday, but I am the official nominee of of the Republican Party. So now I have like 2 or 3 months to get to Trump and say, look, I am the Republican nominee. Now back me, even though the local Republicans are idiots. And
They're
don't
not
wanna back
even
me.
Republicans. Let's
I
not
know,
waste our
I
time
know.
on them any further.
We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Okay? Help others and achieve their dreams, and you will achieve yours. And finally, it's not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. And when this lady who called me today, she says, oh, Heshy, why did you do it? Why did you go help them? You see how good you are. I care about people. You know, when I stood before those people yesterday making my pitch for the money and the program, I says, I don't need your money. I don't need the job. I said, I do this because look at my history of what I've done. And you want me to repeat my achievements. You guys know what I've done. I want to do this because I know the city needs a change, and now is the opportunity. And I didn't know that we would get so lucky that we would win the nomination. We're going to go into November. We have a 4-month strategy session, and you yourself today started strategizing with me about how to go again, how to get the funding, how to go about it, and everybody else went against us. But you said our plan from the beginning. And so far, our plan has worked. So HeshyTishler.com is out there. We're a little itty-bitty short still a little bit, but we're going to get the money.
We will.
But we're going to be ready for November. We're going to win the August primary because it's hands down. We're going to be ready to rock and roll. HeshyTishler.com. Go there, $10, $20.
And also, if you want to stop by, visit us anytime to volunteer. Come by and help. 5318 16th Avenue, corner of 54th Street. Also, if you want to talk to Heshy, justinofheshy@gmail.com. We've made it so easy for you. Get involved.
Yeah, just email me. I'll call you back. I pick up all my calls anyway. So most of you guys are so we are now officially the Republican nominee. We are going on the independent Trump mega line.
Yes.
While my competitor, which we're not going to talk bad about all the time, is Simcha Felder. He's going to be on the Democrat and he's going to be on the conservative line. So we're both going into November with 2 lines and we're ready to rock and roll.
Right.
And I'm telling you that we're ready, and I hope that you guys come out and really vote for me and come volunteer in November. And we're going to want to put up posters. So if you want to come out to help during the summer where it's pretty easy, now it's warm weather, this is the time to come help me. And I'm telling you, I'm going to make the change. This is the time. This is it. This is
especially with the city council turning over drastically here. Come up. This city council is turning over. I think it's like 2/3 of the city council that's turning over. So if you get Heshy in there, he can work closely with the body. And I think with his experiences, this is the perfect time.
So we were approached by Mayor Adams' team. He's running as an independent, and we're going to help him collect signatures. I'm going to do at least 10% more, and we're not even going to charge him to get him on the ballot. And that's the funny part, that, I heard Cuomo was also denied for...
Cuomo was denied. We talked about this last week on the show. Cuomo was denied matching funds.
So both of them are actually... But Cuomo has $7 million in his fund.
Well, Cuomo also has a super PAC on his behalf, too.
I know, and he's using the money for himself, for his legal fees and other. But so then why are we? If he's using the money for his legal fees, why is he still getting money from the city to replenish those legal fees?
Well, he didn't get matching funds from the city. He's raising money.
Right, but also the city has to pay for his legal fees.
Well, that's a different issue. That's different than the campaign.
But what I think is, and I want you all people to look at this and think about this for a moment. I believe the fix is in this election.
I've heard that from some people. Some of our listeners have told me that.
Cuomo is going to win the Democratic nomination. We know that.
I still think, you don't think Zorhan? I still think he's got a chance.
I don't know. I don't think so. But that's what Mayor Adams said about it. We're going to talk about that.
All right, let's talk about it.
Mayor Adams is now not in trouble. He's running as an independent.
Yes.
I believe they're going to indict Cuomo, and he's going to be taken out of the race.
Really? Okay. Well, you know what?
That's the only other way. That's the fix.
That's the fix?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, nothing would surprise me at this
point. And the AG, what's her name again, that idiot Letitia? She's now supporting Cuomo, that she's the one who made the report to get Cuomo out to begin with.
You know, I just love seeing all these hypocritical politicians, especially in the Democratic Party, that are now almost jumping over hoops to endorse Cuomo when they were all saying a few years back that he had to resign, he had to go, he was a disgrace.
We have to arrest him.
But now he's okay again?
Yeah.
What happened between then and now? It's the same person. It's the same dictator.
That's why I don't
It's the
understand
same
you.
guy that did those things all those years ago. Do we just absolve it now?
Right. And our leaders have to show not only compassion, but they have to show respectability.
They're not leaders. They're just afraid of the fact that he gets elected mayor and he uses his position to punish them. And he probably knows where the bodies are buried.
Who's voting for him? Why is he even getting one vote?
Because there are people that are just brainwashed. There are people. Look at all the unions.
Yeah.
All of these unions are endorsing Cuomo. The same groups.
One union is not. Some union is.
DC 37 endorsed Adrienne Adams.
Why? What has she done? She's gone.
I'll tell you. I'm glad you brought that up because I have a reason as to why she's endorsed, and it's simple to the fact that she's the city council speaker, and on top of that, she controls money for this year's upcoming budget, and they are worried that she could use her office and her power to punish that union, and it's already happened.
Which she just did with those two other council.
Yeah, I was about to say that they wound up endorsing Cuomo, and then all of a sudden they lost committee assignments.
Wow.
And so that tells you that it's very powerful. Someone like Adrienne Adams.
But and she's wrong. What she did, she should.
I agree.
She herself should be censored. I want to tell you a funny joke about Linda.
All right.
So Linda, my wife, got angry at me. It's nothing new, as you know.
That's the joke.
And she was complaining about me spending last night at a local bar with my clients.
Okay.
It wasn't last night. It was a couple of days ago. But because last night I was at another speaking event. So
Gotcha.
she was complaining about, she says, you went to a bar and you came home late. So she says, you were having a good time. So I asked the same client, because we had to go out again. So I said to him, you know what? We have to meet again. Can we meet 2 days later from now in that same bar? He said, okay. And I took Linda along with me to the bar. And I said, Linda, what do you have? She said, okay, I don't know. She said, I'll have the same as you, I suppose. I said, okay. I said, my client was watching all this as I ordered a couple of Jack Daniels. And I'm not a drinker. I took the Jack Daniels shot and whoop, take it down in one shot. I almost choked on it, but I didn't want to show her that, so I was a real man. So Linda watched me, and she started to take a sip from her glass. And immediately she spit it out. She said, yuck, that's terrible, she sputtered. She says, I don't know how you drink that stuff. And I said, well, there you go, I shouted at her. My client laughed. And you think I'm enjoying myself here. That was funny.
That was actually a good one. That was a good one.
That happened. Why didn't he make the joke laugh? Is he eating dinner?
I do have a couple comments here while your producer figures out
I don't even know where the producer is.
Black Beauty wanted a picture of you hugging Cracamo.
I know that so badly. I had nobody there with me. It would have been such a... I know they might have cameras in that place, but I don't think they're going to...
And then Black Beauty was also like, well, which bar? And I'll meet you there. And why didn't you order Johnny Walker Blue Label?
I know. What a loser I am, because Johnny Walker is expensive and I'm broke. And if I'm already going to waste money on Linda that she's not going to buy a drink, I might as well buy the cheap.
So maybe you have to ask the producer to take some out of his pay to pay for the drink.
The producer's not even listening to the show. He's Musabi on the phone with his...
I'm not going there, but also...
Why didn't he laugh at my joke?
Superfly wanted to talk about, did you see what idiot did at the Trump Tower? Yeah, let's move on. Let's not get the producer any mad, but there was an idiot at the Trump Tower.
That wasn't funny. It's not for you to say.
I am going to move on from that, but there was some idiot that did something at the
was
Trump
that
Tower.
funny, you two people? That was funny.
I'm going to say that we don't want our mics to be shut off, but if you want to give us a call, 646-974-1581. Give us a call. It's Tom here with Heshy and the Just Enough Heshy.
You
show.
people, my show was this week's picture that I put up to introduce the show is simple. Who do you think is going to win? Now, I know you and argue me about it all the time. And we're saying the fix is in.
Yep.
And you're saying Zohan, which is like
I
out
think
of the left.
he got $8 million in matching funds. He's $8 million total.
Again, raising money today is not, especially for Zohan, who has the entire Muslim community.
And all the liberal leftist anti-Semites.
So there was no problem with him raising the money. And again, Cuomo and Adams would have raised even more if they wouldn't have done some stupidity.
Well, Adams is not in the Democratic primary, so Adams, I think, is a different case. If you want to talk Cuomo and Zohan...
No, but originally, they took away his matching funds because originally he was in the Democratic Party.
Yes, he was.
So if he would have qualified for matching funds originally and he would have dropped out of the Democratic race, he would have had to give all those matching funds back anyways.
what I think that's also why Cuomo exited and entered the race. He knew that Adams was exiting, and he entered and entered.
Can you tell me what you read today? You were telling me about that Adams was screaming that Cuomo's taking away my vote.
Yes, so his exact words were, he called Cuomo a vote stealer, and his exact quote was, when you have a house somewhere and someone is trying to move in, and it's like, go find your own house. So basically, he's saying that Cuomo is coming into his home and trying to move in and take over where he lives. And that's,
Right.
I mean, that's some pretty
again,
serious
Mayor Adams,
allegations there.
He ripped him. He says he's taking votes from him, and he pushed back against the possibility that his independent run for re-election will help the far-left candidate come on top. Wow. That's what you're saying. Adams made the fiery comments after the Post asked him about what he fears and if Cuomo would split the vote of a moderate Democrat, boosting a lefty mayor hopefuls. But I understand, Zoran is running as a Democrat.
But Zorhan, there's a catch here, and this is why
So
the
Mayor
Post
Adams doesn't count over here.
But there's a catch in that the Working Families Party has an opportunity to endorse a candidate other than Andrew Cuomo, because what they did was, there's a quirk in the election law that they didn't endorse a candidate. They put what's called a placeholder. So if Andrew Cuomo wins the Democratic primary, there's a very likely possibility that someone like a Zorhan or a Brad Landis,
without signatures or nothing.
the Working Families Party, you need like 100 signatures citywide to be on the ballot. It could be a few hundred signatures. So what they did was
That's not fair. That's cheating.
That's the election rules. You know all about that. We've seen what the Republicans have done to you, but what they're planning to do is that Cuomo, should he win the Democratic primary in June, a Zorhan or a Brad Lander could still be running in November, and they would get, could
That's
be 10.
how they split the vote.
Yeah,
That's how they're going to get.
and that's
Zoran
why the
could
Post
win.
was asking him.
Wouldn't it be crazy that New York City has a guy like Zoran, a leftist? Did I tell you that the Palestinian guys now are building a tent at Columbia?
Yes, we were talking about this.
I understand. Didn't Columbia stop this? Didn't Columbia learn their lesson?
And this is why Trump is right in defunding them.
But again,
this is why Trump is right on
we
that.
have to stop this. This is illegal, and we're letting it go. People were telling me, he says, Heshy, what are you going to do about the Palestinians? I said, I have no problem. But you came into my neighborhood in Borough Park, you made a thing, we stopped you. Then you went out there. These are illegal stuff, and I don't understand why our mayor doesn't stop it, why we're not showing force. So yeah, you're right. We're breaking the laws, but they're coming after us and arresting us on the dumbest things. During COVID, they arrested us.
Yeah.
We can't make protests. We couldn't go next to each other.
I mean, you couldn't sit and eat and have a meal. I mean, it was just the whole thing with COVID. You were out there front and center. Let me get to a comment here because I want to address this for Tinsel fan. Suela cannot drop out and give Adams the Republican line. That time period is already passed.
Yeah.
So that would be through what's called a committee to fill vacancies. But the petition period is already over for Democrats, Republicans, Conservatives, and Working Families Party members.
But Adams couldn't get even the vacated seat unless the Republican Party gives him the Wilson.
They would have had to have had 3 of the 5 chairpersons give him the authority to run as a Republican, and so he cannot run as a Republican.
And
so that period,
he wanted to switch to be a Republican, I heard.
Yeah, I think there was some talk, but I think that also what happened was he was trying to get what's called the written permission of Wilson Pakula to run on the Republican line, but stay as a registered Democrat. That was what it was. But the time period is expired for Suela to drop out. And the other option, Tinsel fan had mentioned, is Jim Walden, and the Republicans cannot give him that line either. So that's
well, I don't think Suela's going to back out.
And just I want to address another thing here. Yeah, so the Working Families Party, the reason that they can replace their nominee is because their party has a primary in June. The Republicans do not have a primary, so that means that the period to replace a Republican or another Republican were to win, that period's expired. So there's a difference with the Working Families Party and the Republican Party. Suela was the only Republican who petitioned his way on the ballot.
And nobody objected.
Nobody objected. Nobody challenged. Whereas the Working Families Party, they put what's a placeholder nominee. So whoever won the Democratic primary, and also the other point to this is that the Democrats that are running in the Working Families Party who would like to seek their nomination, they're not registered Working Families Party members. So the party they can control that process through those methods. So the Republicans are not going to.
One of our friends who used to be on the show, Nicole, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Nicole. Obviously, Nicole was our co-host for a period of time.
I don't want to tell you her age, but 35, but she's beautiful.
You just did.
I know. I had to say it. What am I going to say? She's 35. She's a kid, half my age.
Yes,
what are you talking about?
we've seen her here.
Happy birthday, Nicole. Many, many more.
Yes, the best is yet to come. Happy birthday. Thank you for your hard work. And yeah, it is very complicated, Tinsel fan. Also, Superfly wanted to say that she loved your video where you called the heckler out. Yeah, that was a good one, yeah. And Infinite Justice wants to say Cuomo needs steel cuffs. Yeah, he does. He definitely does.
I want you to know, today I was at a bris in Long Island.
Okay.
Went to the city. I went to visit somebody who lost his mother.
I'm sorry.
Okay. When I finished all of that, by the way, I had to submit a document. I had to try to get my transcripts. I just got accepted to law school.
Oh, wow. It's almost like Rodney Dangerfield back to school.
The only problem that we have here is that I have to come up with at least a 147 to 150 score. Okay, so I must take the LSTATs, which they have already scheduled for me for June 4th. I hope not, which is Wednesday, or June 5th. So am I ready? So my friend Devora is going to help me study for it. But I told her I'm good. And one of my lawyer friends says, Heshy, with what your experience is and you doing real estate and you become a lawyer, you'll be very rich. I said, listen to me. I'm going to become a criminal lawyer. I'm not going to charge. My job is to help the people who are in trouble, who need my help. No, I'm not going to be a legal aid lawyer. I will help the people that are wrongly accused. And
well, you've said for years that you could go and represent anybody or yourself. You've always said that for years.
Right. So I now I'm going to do it, by the way, and it's a 2-year course. So everybody pray for me that I win.
Yeah, I took law in college, and I did it for a year, and I'm like, I'm not going to go spend the next 7 years in law school.
It's 2 years, by the way.
Okay.
It's a 2-year class.
Yeah, I got that.
But you see, people have to understand that when you're dealing with somebody experienced, don't go somewhere else. Like I had this guy that was arrested and they told him not to go to court, say he's sick. They put a warrant out for his arrest. I had a guy who called me, he says, Heshy, I did something illegally. And I told him, I said, listen, nobody knows about it yet. They're going to find out. Let me fix it now for you. No, it's going to be quiet. I said, I'm telling you, they're going to get you.
Right.
And then they ended up getting him. And now to dig him out of this hole is so bad. And he's saying, Heshy, help me. I said, originally it wouldn't have even cost you a few $1,000s. Now it's going to be $30,000, $40,000. And I don't know if I can save you. And again, you've got to listen to the professionals. Like yesterday when I was talking to these group of people, I said, I told you 2 years ago with the homeless shelter, stop it. Now I gave them a route on how to do it. I told them I'll put it in an email for them. I said, they want to hire me. I said, it's not me to be hired. There's a system how to stop them. And they want to go to the top people. So they went to Lester Chang and Sawyer, who's a joke.
That's the top? No, stop.
That's the only
was that your joke of the week?
But Mayor Adams didn't call them back. Governor Cuomo didn't call them back. Nobody called them back. Felder didn't call them back. None of the people called them back.
Yeager.
The next day I said, you know what? I have Mayor Adams that I'm going to be doing a favor by collecting his signature.
Right.
You set up a meeting. And I'm going to have him there. Oh, we're going to get Mayor Adams. I said, don't think for a moment that Mayor Adams is going to shut down the homeless shelter. All I'm doing is bringing him there to listen to your complaint. But there's no reason that a mayor who created the homeless shelter will shut it down. For what reason?
Yeah, especially considering that they want to put homeless shelters everywhere throughout southern Brooklyn right now. It's a major issue.
I'm going to allow them to talk to him. I'm going to meet them. By the way, next week I'm invited to the Gracie Mansion.
Okay.
And I'm going to hang out with the mayor for like 14 seconds. And we're going to be celebrating something with the Indians. No, not the
West
cowboy.
Indian?
No, right, something with
West
the Indian,
Indian,
whatever, some Indian party or whatever. So I'm going to go. They're going to see the nice Jewish boy. And they're not going to be any
So we're going to get a video of you and Adams finally?
I think so.
Well,
I think so. I'm
boy.
going to bring my nephew and I'm going to bring 2 other people. I'm hoping they filmed the whole thing with me kissing Adam. Can I tell you about my trip to Florida?
Why not?
So I want to tell you what I did.
All right.
I have a friend who's 92 years old, an older man. He helps us out
Mazel
in the
tov.
business. He's a architect, and we do work together. We send stuff together. And once a year, I need him to go down to sign some papers or do an audit or something for me. And I owe him some money. So his wife died.
I'm sorry.
And he was very depressed. He locked himself in his house.
Oh, my God.
He wouldn't come out of that room, whatever. He's in a very nice senior center. Not an old age home, but like it's called like a
senior assistant?
Senior assisted living. That means you get your own apartment, you get a kitchen, you get everything.
Okay.
And they have programs downstairs for you. They have food and
Bingo
so on.
and dominoes
and other stuff. They take you out. He locked himself for 2 months. I got
Oh
a
my
call.
God.
So I had to go. And Passover, as you know, I work Passover. A lot
Yeah.
of people are off. So I found a day of Thursday that I can take off a
Yes.
little bit. I jumped on. I woke up 4 a.m.
I remember you called me and like, hey, I'm going out.
5:30 in the morning because I know you're up. And I said,
I
I'm at
was
the
up.
airport. So I get to the airport. I park because I know I always get lost with finding the parking lot and whatever.
Yeah.
So I got to the airport and I got on the plane and I got to Florida about 11 o'clock. I got to my car and I got to him 11:30 and I figured I'm going to take him out to eat. And he wouldn't come out of his room. I screamed at him, hollered at him. I got him dressed, and he came out with me. And we went and we started looking for a place to eat. And I know there were 2 kosher places that were open for Passover.
Okay.
Not only has to be kosher, but it has to be a special kosher Passover.
And that must be hard in Florida to find it.
Yeah, but in Fort Lauderdale and Miami, they have it because there's more Jews. But
Okay.
West Palm Beach has nothing.
All
And I
right.
couldn't find nothing. And the problem was I wasn't going to drive an hour and a half because while I was going down there, I had a speaking event in Orlando.
Wow.
I set it all up, and then the next morning, Linda wouldn't let me go away for the weekend, especially by myself. So I had to come home Friday morning. So I was going to drive 3 hours in the other direction to get there to speaking event. For 2 hours, I couldn't find a place. I was very upset about it. Finally, I called a rabbi, a local rabbi. He says, there's nothing here, but there's a kosher hotel, a senior center, that's a special program just for this Passover. Go there. I went over there, and they said, listen, we're not taking outside people. It's just for our local people.
Right.
And there's a lot of seniors here as well, so we're not letting you in. So I was joking around with the lady with the thing, and I handed her my Just Enough Heshy card and whatever. And she said, I want somebody, I know who you are, the guy from New York. And we were joking around a little bit more, and the assistant administrator comes out and says to me, we had a kosher program here and the rabbi didn't show up. She says, are you a rabbi? Now, if I know you guys are going to laugh, but my bachelor's degree is in rabbinical studies.
Why did I know this was coming up?
So I said to her, I'm not really a rabbi, but I'm a rabbi. She says, would you do a service for us? I said, but it's not really So anyways, I had my prayer shawl in the car. I go out there, come out there, and I make a service. This now, usually an afternoon prayer is about 10 minutes. I made this service go on for like 35 minutes. I was like make-believe crying. I made it look real nice, you know. And after I finished, the people were sitting there. Ladies came, men came, 'cause they didn't have a service the whole Passover. They were so happy.
Oh, my God.
Even the Seder, they said one of the local residents did it. They didn't even do good. So I told them, so we were in the big auditorium where I did the prayer. So I started to do a Just Enough Heshy show for them. Making fun of Linda. I spoke about you.
Watch my show.
Yeah, I watched my show. I handed out my card. I made fun of everything. And for an hour and a half, I had them laughing, politics and everything. A lot of them were Democrats, by the way.
Good thing they don't vote.
They came after me on Trump. And we were having a nice time. After an hour and a half, the administrator says, come, just for this, I'm going to treat you to lunch.
Oh, okay.
We went into the dining room. They fed us hot dogs and hamburgers and
Wow.
coleslaw and potato salad.
Did you
and,
tell them about the pineapple and
matzahs.
chicken?
Of course I told them about the pineapple chicken. And we were fed, and then I was ready to pay. They wouldn't let us pay. And
Oh.
my 92-year-old friend said, wow, Heshy, who are you? I said, you know me for 20 years. I mean, you see what I joke around. He says, but you are just so great. He says, I was impressed with your show. I said, you hear me talk all the time, and this is the first time you were impressed. I took him back. It was already late. I was supposed to leave for West Palm like 2 o'clock and get to Orlando at 5 o'clock. I got there at 7:15.
Wow.
I had a barbecue running. We ate a nice meal, spoke, and I even couldn't go to forget the beach or the pool. And then I went to their prayers. I spoke to more people, and finally it was midnight, and I had to leave to the airport 4 o'clock in the morning because I like to get back.
Yeah,
early.
I know. We spoke. I remember that.
So I went downstairs to get a bottle of water. I saw nobody around, so I went and got on my bathing suit and jumped into the pool. It was beautiful, nice and warm, no sun. Back out, got dressed. Didn't even
But
go
you
to
thought
sleep.
enough to bring a bathing suit.
Whenever you go to Florida, you got to bring a bathing suit. No matter what, you got. Anyways, when I go to people's houses,
Right.
especially for a night, I don't want them to be, I know what it is to take care of guests, so I bring my own towels. They were very upset. Wow, you brought your own towels and everything. I
Boy.
said, yes. The only thing I didn't do was sheets and blankets because I think that's embarrassing.
Yeah,
And I
that's
stripped
a
my
little
bed.
much. I haven't traveled much, but I would think
But
that's a bit much.
I was gonna make a wash, but it was 4 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't gonna wake up the family.
How was the water, by the way? Man?
Oh, 90 degrees, man.
Wow.
Wow. It was the best time. I came home. I was freezing over here. I had to put the
Yeah,
heat
it
on.
was like really cold here last week. We were here. It's funny. Yesterday was beautiful. Today was not as warm, but still pretty good. But last week we were here. It was like winter. It was like January. The wind was blowing. We were in coats. I mean, let's go now.
My favorite person from politics is Andrew Giuliani. I know you guys don't like him. He lost the governor
I
election.
thought he would have been. I thought he would have won governor.
He would have won. Right. I don't know why we. I mean, the other guy was also too
He was
zealed in,
okay, but
he wasn't.
Giuliani had fire.
Right,
Yeah.
he could have beaten Hochul and everybody, but whatever it is. So now the White House, Trump has appointed him to be the some kind of a commissioner or director for the FIFA. Explain that.
Yeah,
to
so
me.
FIFA is the
it's
World
coming to-
Cup, which is for football.
and they finally
soccer
coming
here
to
in the United
America.
States.
We don't really care about soccer here, do we?
It's a game that's really increased in terms of exposure, visibility.
No, I know that. I've played soccer as a kid and whatever, but I never would ever go to a soccer game or a stadium. I
Oh,
watch
you
it on
should see how many
TV
people
after-
come out and watch.
I see that. I
It's
see across
like
the
a-
world. But like I would watch it for 10 minutes on TV and I get bored of it.
No, the World Cup. As somebody that has watched it, it is it's very exciting. I mean, you watch it, and like maybe if you didn't watch soccer or football around the world regularly, you'd probably go, well, what is this? But
Right.
if you watch just the intensity and just the way the players move with the ball and just everything that they do in terms of just getting in the positions to score the 1 or 2 goals, it's a very exciting thing. People love it.
I like more action, like baseball. with
Well,
a lot of
baseball,
home
I'm a
runs.
baseball guy.
I'm
I
a
love
baseball
baseball.
freak. I love football.
And you know, I
hockey,
gotta mention-
hockey. But our sports in the United States is very always action filled and busy.
And especially wrestling.
Wrestling too. It's great because it's always action. It doesn't.
And
keep
I
you
think that's
bored.
what soccer does struggle with a bit to the average eye, is that it's not as exciting as American football or hockey or
But
baseball.
there's big money across the world. It's
Yeah.
much bigger than anything
Oh
else.
my goodness! I
Yeah.
mean,
I can't believe they're coming to the United States when I didn't think there was that big important.
well, 1994, the World Cup was actually here in America. They played it at the old Giant Stadium. They played it at the Los Angeles Coliseum. So it's been here before, but not recently here.
We're bitching about the immigration. People were telling me, "Oh, it's wrong, the immigration." First of all, they just deported, or they just arrested 27 gang
Yes, I saw that in the news today.
murderers, robbers, killers. I mean, these people have to be deported. And what are you going to do? Stop deporting them when these are murderers and killers? You know, our senator, what's his name again? There was a senator that went to
Chris Van Hollen from Maryland was
Right.
talking about that, to go to El Salvador on our dime, on the taxpayers' dime.
But to go visit a guy we deported, if you want to go do it and help him, no problem.
He was an illegal immigrant who broke the law, who should have been here in the
But
first
we
place.
deported him already. Now you're using our money to try what? I don't understand you. And his wife couldn't defend. You know, when they were telling about his wife said his wife had all the protection against him. He beat her. He did. But it's not the point that he was illegal. He did a crime. He was actually a gang member.
But it's, to me, the Democrats, this is what they don't understand. They're going through hula hoops to defend murderers, people that broke the law and don't belong here. Yeah. And this guy, to go out for whatever reason to visit this person, how about focusing on helping people in your own state, in your own country?
Right.
And they continue not to get this, Heshy.
Right. You know, look at President Trump.
Yes.
He says our population is down. That's why we need the immigrants. He's now offering, I don't like the idea, $5,000 for anybody
now,
who
don't
gets
tell Linda
married.
this. Don't tell Linda
gets
this.
married and have a baby. I know that. Linda's going to want another baby. For $5,000, you can forget about the baby. Are you kidding me?
So what do you think about that? $5,000 to
have
kid?
a baby, man? You know what it costs? The doctors, the diapers, the thing, just the first month.
But you know what? I think the reason that President Trump and some in his administration have proposed this is because birth rates are the lowest in 2023. They were the lowest rate since 1979.
I don't know. Our population is growing. We have over 400 million.
Yeah, but it's not new population. I think that's what and again, I don't agree personally. I don't think that we should use taxpayer money to go out. And if you want to give us a call, 646-974-1581. Actually, call the calling number. But I don't think that taxpayer money should be used to give to people to have a child. I just don't think that's the right idea.
I don't
like
understand
it. I don't like it.
Also, and I want to tell you something. There are a lot of young people that are stuck longer in foster care because they can't find housing. So that's my point.
That's sad.
We have so much to do for our own people, so much to invest.
And
over
Van
here.
Hollen, this guy's going out to El Salvador to speak with a murderer and visit him? Come on.
By the way, about a third of our young people who age out of the New York City foster care system are being forced to stay either in foster care or in group homes because there's no place to put them. That's what these reports state.
Yeah.
We have to worry about people coming home from jail. We have to show them not to have a second chance. These people are coming out of foster care. They're getting their lives together. We have to help them. We have to show them. And what we're doing is we're just abusing the system, and we don't know what to do.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things. Let me get to some comments here. First of all, Billy G wants to chime in because the country lost $50 million due to abortion that they're trying to make up. That's a understandable point. I still don't think
we've always had abortion.
Well, I mean, people feel that it's increased abortion. People feel that those. But I don't think taxpayer money should be used to bribe people to have kids. It's your choice. Also,
anyways, they are bribed.
You lost weight,
when you have a baby. Oh, I do. Thank you.
Michael said you lost weight.
People were telling me all over the place. Oh, you have to price. You're skinny. Listen to me. I do. Matter of fact,
you're not no longer Big H anymore.
I'm Big H. I'm still 239 pounds. I want to lose another 10 pounds because I got a bunch of free shirts and I want to fit into it. So it's worth it for me to be skinny, but
and Superfly said she liked the video most about you when the city came to Borough Park. Remember that one years ago during COVID? That was the video she was referring to about and that was that. But go ahead.
Well, can we go a little bit on national politics for 1
sure
minute? And my partner today was screaming at me. He says, Trump is no good. I said, really? What's your problem now with him? He's a penny. He's wacko, my friend.
Hope he's not listening.
Trump said he's going to stop the war in one day. I said, they did. Putin is ready to make a deal, but Zelensky won't cooperate. Why? Why won't he cooperate? Just because
they were talking about
Putin wants to have choice of Crimea to oversee it. Crimea was always theirs. You know what I mean? Give everything. Just give Crimea. I'm not saying like give back Jerusalem, but Crimea was there before the war. And the reason why he attacked was he didn't attack because Zelensky had the army. He attacked Ukraine because they were bringing in NATO. And Ukraine was doing crazy stuff. There wouldn't have been a war if I think Zelensky wanted this war.
Well, look at the money that we gave to Ukraine.
And Zelensky has houses in Florida, cars, and everything. This is a man.
And we said this before. This goes back 2 years ago. I remember being on the show almost 2 years ago now and talking about the fact that this whole war really is to the blame of the Obama-Biden administration because they were the ones that created this mess with Ukraine and Russia, and it's led to where it's a never-ending situation, and President Trump has tried his best so far to get a ceasefire, to end this war and change paths because giving money to Ukraine hasn't seemed to work. What has that done? We're putting this goes back to taxpayer money.
People are still dying.
Yeah.
Like in Gaza. I mean, these guys really, we're dealing with Hamas that doesn't know where the prisoners are. People are being killed. They're not returning it over. I mean, I don't understand why we're not in there. I don't know why we're not.
And today is, by the way, we should mention, is World Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Wow.
Very important that we remember that, especially for all the people. Just it's really horrible that we're still doing this stuff in 2025, especially when I was reading the other day that anti-Semitic incidents were the highest it's been. 893%.
We should be living in a better world. We should be trying to help.
There were almost 10,000 anti-Semitic incidents last year.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
In New York City too, we have no control. Now you're telling me, ladies and gentlemen, as it is, we have a problem that Mayor Adams is trying his best to control and fix it up. And he's an ex-police officer, captain, whatever you want to say, bad or good about him.
Yeah.
Cuomo never helped anything with crime.
Cuomo's the reason we have crime because he's the one that signed the bail reform law.
I got you. So you want to make him mayor? New York City is going to be the wild, wild west when Cuomo is there. You watch. He's going to come.
But maybe Mayor Adams has a path to re-election because, talking about what we were mentioning a little while ago, Zorhan or Brad Lander could still be in the race in November. You've got another guy, Jim Walden, who's sort of lurking. He got matching funds. He's running sort of as a centrist.
That guy has no chance.
He's got $2 million in matching funds. He just got it. He's going to spend money, and then
$2 million. You can barely on $200,000. You can maybe get to one community.
But you know what? Even if he gets to 3 or 4 communities, that could be a difference somewhere. And then you've got Sweela's going to get whoever Republicans vote.
Well,
so
the
maybe
Democrats
Mayor Adams
have that ranked choice voting.
Yeah.
So maybe Zohan will win. You're saying because Cuomo, even though he gets the most
I'm
votes.
saying that even
explain to me again ranked choice voting.
So ranked choice voting.
The guy who wins the election has to win by 50%.
Yes. So it's if you get less than 50% of the vote, it goes to ranked choice voting. So if whoever amount of candidates that there are, until it gets to the final 2 candidates, each person's ballots are distributed.
So they take the lowest candidate, they take his votes,
and redistribute it until they get to an eventual winner.
And whoever chose number 2, number 3, they give it to the number 2 guy, the number 3 guy, and so on. Very interesting. So Cuomo could win, Cuomo could lose. And
Well, Adams, if you remember in 2021, he only won the Democratic primary by about 10,000 votes. It went to ranked choice voting, and he was up by like 100,000 some odd votes. And because of ranked choice voting, he barely won. So there's a thought either way.
Dead. He should have. I mean, he's now has no chance on ranked choice voting. I don't know, but
I just think that maybe Mayor Adams is thinking that he has a path to victory because the Democrats are not going to nominate the same person on the working families line. You've got this guy, Jim Walden, who is going to spend money.
Who is Jim Walden, by the way?
Jim Walden was a white-collar prosecutor. He was famous for prosecuting the mob and some other groups.
I never heard of him.
Well, you're going to hear a lot more about it because he got matching funds, and one of your former election staffers is the election lawyer for him.
No way.
Yeah. It's the initials AF ring a bell?
Oh, God.
You know he's got money then if that person's involved.
It doesn't work for him
Yeah, he don't work for free. And
can I ask you something?
You can ask me anything you want.
On a religious thing.
Okay, let's talk about that. I know you're going with this.
Okay,
I'm ready for you.
I got you. I do know about Christianity. I do know about Joseph.
This was a funny... I wish we had this recorded when I walked into the office.
I do have watched movies on the Pope thing. You know, it's been very... You know, what was that movie with when they chose the Pope?
Da Vinci Code?
What?
Was it the Da Vinci Code?
Da Vinci Code.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the Pope was seeming to have gotten better, and all of a sudden he got a stroke and died right away.
On Monday.
He wasn't that old. He was like 88.
You consider that not that old?
No, but he was getting better. Yeah.
Are you talking about Felder's age?
My mother was 87. She was still driving. Then she got a little sick and lived till 94. People are living longer.
Yeah.
He's been sick for a while.
He was sick for a while.
He almost died there, and he got better. And then all of a sudden he had a stroke. Something is wrong. I mean, this guy is the best doctors. They should
he's no longer with us, and we're going to have a ceremony on Saturday.
And
we're going to
bury him, and they bury him in 3 coffins?
Yeah, and they're having a...
What does that mean? Why 3 coffins?
It's I guess their tradition. It's a religious tradition.
I see that you're a good Catholic.
I try to be, actually.
You don't even know why they're burying him in 3 coffins.
Well, you wouldn't let me finish because what I'm really more focused on to talk about our audience with is that this whole way to pick the next pope.
Oh, God.
It's decided by yeah, I know, right? He basically, Pope Francis is going to install the next pope without even being here because 108 of the 135 cardinals who were under the age of 80 are all people that he appointed. How do you like that? And you thought things were bad with Barsimeon. I mean,
wow.
Look at Pope Francis.
Now, I heard that there was a cardinal that did some kind of fraud.
Yeah, we were talking about this off the air.
So he did fraud.
Yeah.
He stole money from the church. But
what else is new?
They couldn't throw him out, so they demoted him, but he's still a cardinal.
Yeah.
But he lost all his privileges because he stole the money. I mean, this is a priest stealing money, but he still stayed as a cardinal. He wants to go vote in this thing, but I heard all cardinals are allowed in.
Not so. If you're over 80 and a cardinal,
he's not over 80,
right? But there's a quirk in that, I suppose. But we're gonna find out the next cardinal, but we don't even know who's the favorite. We were talking about this off the air.
There like usually the front runner and something
so I was listening to this on the radio this morning, and basically any name that they throw out there, whether it's in the newspaper or in the press, it's all thrown out the window because these cardinals, they pick the next pope. So it doesn't matter.
But isn't there already backdoor strategy and going on already?
I mean, I'm sure it's like anything else. There's a strategy, but...
Is there a chance ever to be an American pope?
I mean, if you go and look at who they put out there and the different names, I couldn't pronunciate half of them, so I forgive me for not even bringing it up. But there was not one American mentioned. They were names mentioned from Austria.
It's time to give an American, or maybe us Americans are not good.
I mean, somebody threw Cardinal Dolan's face in there, but I think
times I've heard his name. Why?
But his chances of being in there are probably, like you said, none. I mean,
he's very politically connected, powerful.
They're all politically connected. You answered your own question on that point, but yeah, the Francis appointed one, so 135 cardinals get to vote who are under the age of 80, and Pope Francis appointed 100.
There are not more than 135 cardinals in the world.
Yes, there is, but there are also cardinals over the age of 80 who are not allowed to vote. When you're over 80, you can't vote.
No, you can't get chosen to be pope. I think you're allowed to vote.
I have it here. It's 135 under under 80 who are able to vote.
So if
you
there's
can
like-
you can be involved, but you can't physically cast your ballot.
So you're telling me again, there's not more than 135 cardinals under the age of 70?
There might be that, but these are the ones that hold a vote.
Hold the vote. So you have to be also not only be a
Yeah.
cardinal, you have to be chosen to
Yeah, so
but
it's a
these
process.
cardinals are coming from all over the world.
That's-
They don't live in the Vatican.
They're all coming all over, and
this is a
Saturday
whole-
Saturday is going to be the services for the Pope. Saturday.
and
So you'll
then-
miss that,
So
unfortunately.
when do they start the? No, I'm going to see it on reruns.
I know, I was being facetious.
So when do we see the actual voting begin? The next day?
I think it's a few weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, they don't start right away. They leave the Pope ship open.
Well, right now there's a period of mourning for the Pope. I mean, I think it's a 7-day waiting period, I believe. I'm sure somebody will correct me here in the chat. I think it's 7 days. It's either 7 or 9 days.
To wait till you choose a Pope, or
Well,
start
just to like mourn the Pope, and they'll have the services.
So
but then after that,
these cardinals can't go home. Then
I mean, I guess they could
I
fly
guess,
right
but there's
back.
all that backdoor thinking.
Yeah, and a couple of comments related to it. A few things we talked about.
Do you have to be a cardinal to be voted, or you can be a regular priest to be voted as Pope?
I think you have to be a cardinal to vote.
Really? Well, I mean, to vote, but
Yeah.
to be chosen as Pope, you can't just pick somebody holy and pious.
That's a question that we'd have to ask next week on this show because I don't have the exact answer for that. But I do have some comments.
Right.
Black Beauty said that because before abortion we had a sustainable birth rate. Also, here 2 coffins are typical. The one we see at the funeral and the outer box for the cemetery. Billy G talking about the whole situation with the Pope. It depends on geopolitics. Black Beauty also says
that.
it's
I
time
knew
for an
that.
African Pope, and there is leeway
Really?
before.
Woman, hold on.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem with that. Okay, we have Jewish rabbis that
Yeah.
are black. We have no problem with that. There's no possible way that you believe that 135 cardinals. How many black cardinals are there? Maybe 2 or
Well,
3.
there actually has been an increase. I was listening to this on the radio that there's been an increase in the Catholic population, at least here in America, of Hispanic and black.
Yeah,
and
but the black people and Spanish people in America have been always increasing in Catholicism. But I'm talking around the world.
there are priests that are from that descent. Yes, there are. I mean,
and you're going to pick them as Pope, and you think the world will follow? I mean,
we
I
should
have-
get one of them on the show who's
Yeah,
a
we
voting
should.
member.
But I'm saying it's not the point. It's not only that they're a good man and they should be the
Yeah.
leader, but you have to have the world follow what he says.
I mean, it really comes down to these cardinals, and they're basically, from what I was listening to, they're like insulated from the world. So, like,
Yeah.
they're not listening to what you and I are saying. They're going to vote, and Black Beauty also wanted to further say the Cardinals vote for a cardinal who participates in the conclave. So it's about so the conclave is where this all starts, according to Black Beauty. Thank you very much for clarifying that.
Harvey Weinstein, what's your opinion?
Harvey Weinstein.
Is he a rapist? I'm going to tell you now.
You tell me. I mean, I don't have
The
much of an opinion.
The
on it.
lady that is accusing him now came out the name that he had this bad whatever he did with her.
Yeah.
She was 16 in
Oh my God.
2006. They gave out her name as Sokola, whatever.
I'm glad
Kaja-
you're pronouncing it rather than me.
Kaja Sokola. Now, here's
And I
my
apologize
Problem.
on
Here's
that.
my problem with her.
Okay, I'm listening.
Happened in 2006, and now you got him for rape, which is statutory, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But still, you had the time limit passed. Okay?
Statutory
Whatever.
time limits,
Right, whatever. Forget that
yeah.
the time passed.
Right.
But now they're saying that she not only did the acts with him, she traveled with him. She stayed on with him for years to go on. I mean,
She was 16, though.
yeah, but then she stayed on with till she was 19 and 20. She didn't make any claims till 2017, till the Me Too movement turned into it. So you can't do that. You can't just, travel and take your privileges. Now people are saying, well, Heshy,
You're walking
Harvey
into this one,
Weinstein-
Heshy.
No, but Harvey Weinstein tricked you that you can have a job if you had sex with him or whatever it is.
Well, that's what they were saying about Vince McMahon. That was kind of the story of Vince McMahon, because there was a woman, Janelle Grant, and a lot of people were saying that she had proof that he was paying her, and it was all about obviously certain activities that I wouldn't want to say on the air.
So I'm not judging a woman that but she wasn't forced.
But she wasn't a woman; she was 16.
Right, but
She
I
was
understand.
underage.
But again, why would she give in to doing this act with an older man because she wanted to be famous and have money? Okay, a lot of these younger people don't understand. It's our fault as parents, but you're right. Sometimes the kids run away. Sometimes the households don't do it correctly. You're
Yeah.
right. Harvey Weinstein did take advantage, but did he actually rape her in a sense?
I mean, that's a question that a judge will have to
Well,
decide.
it's
But
before
I
jury.
would still
So
think
here's the
that
thing.
16 is.
He had so many cases that went against him.
Yeah.
And he kept losing them. They overturned some of them. If he wins this, is he free?
I would imagine there'll be an appeal, or there'll be other cases. You mentioned there's other cases still out there against him.
There
but,
was.
But to me, again, 16, he's significantly older than her. He had to have known better. Listen, I mean, that's just my take on that. I mean,
Well, I mean,
I'm not-
she was a teenage model. I mean, you know what goes on over there. I'm not even going to discuss that she, at 14, if she wasn't...
yeah, I don't know. I
She
just
wasn't
think to
so
me,
pure, but okay, whatever.
Well, he obviously should have thought better, and I mean, it's kind of where we're at with the case. But before you get to your next topic, I want to say goodbye to our listeners listening at WJPR 1640 AM in beautiful Miami, Florida, where Heshy wishes he was still in the pool. He still wishes
I was
that.
so happy when I was there, man.
Yeah, I
It
figured
was
that.
great.
And I want to say goodbye to WNEW, of course, the legendary WNEW 1027 FM, and of course, our flagship 620 AM WSNR. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next week, Wednesday, 9 o'clock Eastern time, same time,
Thank you for
same
coming.
bat channel.
Thank
Yes.
you for joining to the show.
Yes.
I'm so proud of President Trump. He's going to raise 2 American flag poles right by the White House once and for all the time. That's the way it's supposed to be. Forget raising the flags of other countries. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't have no problem with the Israeli flag or the African flag.
Right,
or the
right,
English flag. But this is America. We should all be putting our flags out. We should all, I wear an American.
You always have, yeah.
pin.
Well, Memorial Day is coming
Right,
next month.
right.
Yep.
Memorial
July
Day is coming.
4th,
We
yep.
have to remember our. People don't understand that men died for you.
I agree with that.
They gave up. I mean, I wake up every day and I see the sun, my wife, my kids, the
Yep.
phone calls. I appreciate the life we gave. Why would somebody sacrifice it all for somebody else?
I always think about my father's cousin who never came back, was in the Vietnam draft, never came back. And my dad was one number, it was going to be either him or his cousin picked. If my dad was picked, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. So I always appreciate our veterans who've served for this country. And I always think about what's great about Brooklyn, and especially our communities surrounding here. You always see a lot of American flags here in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
A lot of,
Not so much in the Jewish neighborhood, but
I do see them from time to time.
Yeah. We do have it. We're not dumbbells. We do put it out. We
You
do
said
wear
that,
our
not me.
flags. But no, the more the Italian,
You see it a lot in, Bensonhurst, Dyker Heights, Gravesend, which is parts of your district,
right.
Marine
Also,
Park.
A lot of the
Shapes City,
African American
Bay.
community have been doing it.
Yes,
The Spanish,
definitely.
the Latin community, not so much. Asian community, almost none. There's always
So I'm
somebody
starting to
somewhere.
see, I think you're starting to see some with the Asians. I've seen it
Yeah?
firsthand in our communities. So, but I
Well,
think people...
You are in this country, whether you're a citizen or green card member, you should fly that flag. Be so happy you're on the greatest land that on the planet that somehow we got it. I don't. Whatever we did to get it, you're right. We cheated the Indians. We fought with the British. Right now,
Christopher Heshy.
But the point is, this is the greatest country in the world.
Yes.
However we evolved to get here, we got here that the whole world needs our help.
People come here from all over, yeah.
During every war,
Land of the free.
we make people rich. The people suck us dry, and we still have more money to give them and more power, even with your stupid tariffs. Yes, President Trump says, listen, man,
Right.
we've been paying. We've been giving you our sweat and blood. We've been giving you our children. We've been dying for you. Give us back. We want a break. It's time to get paid. Like me, I'm ready to retire. I want to get paid. I want to get my pension. I want to get my Social Security. And President Trump says, hey, man, you're going to lower the prices. You're going to give our lives a little bit
Speaking
easier.
of garnishing wages and taking away pensions, what do you think about the student loans now that President Trump has come out and said by May 5th that the government needs to start collecting on those who've defaulted?
I agree.
Well, I agree, too.
Or make a payment plan. But it's time to pay.
But apparently
my
there's-
children paid all their student loans. I paid them off. It's a struggle. Kalman Yeager still has his student loan.
And that's why he's an assemblyman.
He's 50 years old and he still has student loans.
And that's why he's an assemblyman, but that's the the dun joke. Yeah. But speaking of that, real quick, there are 10 million student loans that have been defaulted on in this country, so they're expecting to collect payments on them. 270 days or more is what considered to be
I
a default.
understand if you don't have a job, but if you're a doctor or a lawyer or a professional, you have to pay that money
Yeah,
back.
no,
We
I think-
got you there. I understand if you didn't finish your degree.
I don't
Let's
think they
just say
should
you
be
didn't
wiped
finish your
off.
right.
I think what's what Biden tried to do, and
I don't mind you wiping it off even, but if you obtained your degree because of those student loans, you have to pay it back.
Yes, but we're talking about people who've defaulted and not paid for almost a year. At that point, I mean, the government we shouldn't be writing it off and adding more to the debt. Before we go, Billy G wanted to say pray for Cardinal Sarah as the next African Pope. Catholic
Oh, really?
missionaries.
She really believes that? Yeah, it's
That's what he
possible?
says. Catholic missionaries reach every part of the world, regardless of race or religion.
Yeah, I know.
And hopefully they'll be less political, though, because they haven't been too good lately.
I worked with, when I was a travel agent,
Yep.
a Christian brother group, a Christian brothers, and they were very cool. And they came with me on my group. They loved that I gave them the Jewish experience. I took them to a lot
Nice.
of the churches in Israel that they didn't know about or they had on their list.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, when we were there with them, when I was there with them, they actually had to go out and do other good things to people they didn't know in a country they
Sounds
didn't
like
know.
Mike Huckabee, the new ambassador of Israel. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of people are excited about that. But
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning
Check us
into the
out
show.
next
Yeah.
Wednesday, 9 o'clock. YouTube at Sports by Radio 6579. My YouTube.
I hope when he
Hit us up.
plays the music, it's something he
And
shuts off
thank
the
you,
music early.
everybody. Thank you, everybody here in the chat. I really appreciate you, and we'll see you next
Play
week.
that music.
Producer Justin up.